Hey everyone, it's Austin here. And today I thought I would, open up Diablo 3 and record some gameplay while I talk about some things. And I thought Diablo 3 would be a good fit because I wanted to talk about that in relation to the PlayStation 4, and I wanted to, talk about the two consoles because I haven't really given my 2 cents on the whole console war going on. And actually, now is probably the best time to talk about it, seeing as how with the Xbox One, there was a lot of negativity going on with the DRM that they had in place and all the restrictions that they were going to be imposing. And thankfully, after the outroar of of negativity going around it, yesterday, June 19th, they revoked a lot of that. I guess the specifics are unknown, but they pretty much said the 24-hour authentication is no longer going to be there. The disc-based games, they're not going to have the restrictions that they had on them. They revoked most of the things, which kind of evens the playing field a little bit. Even though, it was a bold move, and a bad move, I should say. You should know up front that I am 100% for the PS4, and not just because of marketing reasons, but because of hardware, reasons too. Which I'll get into that in a little bit, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Diablo 3, because it is a title that I'm, fairly excited for, and it's one of the ones that we're going to see first that are, going to have a PS4 counterpart, which excites me. One thing that I think is cool about the PS4, well, actually the console versions of Diablo 3 is the new interface. I think that's one thing that you'll notice if you've watched any of the E3 footage. I think it looks very nice. I wish they would have went with something similar on the PC version. There's a lot of things that they're doing with the console version that I really wish they would have done on the PC version. But just to kind of give you an idea of how it's going to be, your main attack is going to be mapped to the A button if you're playing it on the 360, and the X button if you're playing on the PlayStation 3. And it's important to note that every other control can be remapped. So you can do some pretty cool things with that if you want to do some sort of combos. If you're familiar with playing this on the PC, which I am, that's going to be loads of help to be able to remap all of these controls. And they've added a thing to dodge. That's also really helpful. I don't know how many times I could have used that on the Belial fight. But yeah, so that's really cool. Also, they've implemented a quick pickup menu, and so that's going to allow you to cycle through, your 10 most recent items that you've picked up, and this is really going to save a lot of time if you're playing a co-op game, because as it is now, and as it's been since the launch on the PC version, there's a lot of instances where people are like, hold on a minute, I gotta check my inventory, which is gonna lead me to my next point here in a moment. But there's so much time spent with, well, hang on, I gotta teleport back, I gotta sell my stuff, I'll be back in a minute, or I need to sift through all this crap and identify it, and see if anything's good or whatever. That takes up a lot of time. And the reason I mention that part specifically is because in the console version, Blizzard has stated that they're going to have less item drops. Now, some unexperienced people might see this as a bad thing and say, well, why would they do that? It's all about loot. This is a very loot-based game. But they've said that because it's going to be about 70% less drops. That's the official word. And it's, part of that is due to the lack of the auction house, which is, understandable, and could probably be the saving thing for this game. And the drops that you would have gotten, like, you think in the PC version you get all these, gray drops, white drops, whatever. These old drops are going to be just converted straight into gold. So it's, you're going to see more gold drops than you're going to see item drops. Now what this does is your inventory is not going to get cluttered as quickly. And chances are it's not going to get cluttered much at all, because with the fewer item drops, they're saying that it's going to make every drop more meaningful. And not only that, they're tuning these items to, tailor to like a wider scope of usability. I guess I don't know how to word it, but these are going to be more well-rounded than the items and the stats that you have now. So that not only are these drops actually going to be useful to you, they're going to be useful to you for a longer period of time, possibly. Which, that's good enough for me, honestly, because I don't know. There's one thing to be a very loot-based game, but to I don't know, there's so much that you have to sift through, and to the point that if you're level 60, you've got a few Paragon levels in, or maybe you don't even have any Paragon levels in, you just don't pick up some items after a while. It's like, the items are there, and they do have a gold value. But if there's some option to just say, hey, get rid of these gray items, these useless items that I don't need, and just turn it into gold, I mean, heck yeah, that's that's good for me. Which that's something I like. And another thing is, people have gotten worried about if you're doing the local co-op, it's going to be same screen co-op, so everybody's going to be tied to the same screen. There's been some concern that you're not going to be able, in the heat of battle, if you're fighting a lot of stuff, if you go by how it is on the PC now, it can get pretty crazy in there. You have everybody's firing off their skills and everything, and it can get pretty crazy. And the concern was that if you have all four of these players on the same screen, all firing off their stuff, that it's going to get really cluttered. You're going to lose yourself often, which that happens quite a bit in games that tie you to the same screen. But Blizzard has stated that they are taking this down, and you can see it at the E3 demo that they've kind of taken down, everything. Now that's not to say that all the sparkly effects are gone. They're still there, and I've seen interviews and I've seen demo gameplay of it that people feel that it doesn't take it down. You can't really tell that it's been taken down too much, but that's going to help with people losing themselves or getting too crazy. And another thing that actually surprises me with this is that the frame rate, it's almost a constant 60 frames per second. Not all the times it rarely dips below that though, that's really good, because and most people don't realize it, that it just feels more solid. Most games on consoles, they're 30 frames locked. Not so much, or not as much here lately, but it's usually 30 frames per second. And we're moving beyond that. That was several years ago that that was something that was in place, and it moves beyond that. And it's the biggest complaint that I have as a avid PC gamer, to only have 30 frames per second. Everything feels more solid. The thing that comes to mind with me that a lot of people don't realize is that the Call of Duty games, people know that those feel smoother. It just feels more fluid and natural and better. And a lot of people don't realize why. And they play these other shooters that are still great shooters, it's great content, but they're running at a lower frame rate. and it just feels better. Everything feels better at 60 frames a second.